Good afternoon, and thank you so much for attending our webinar today. We're going to talk today about the importance of the blog in terms of marketing for your home care agency, and a couple of housekeeping things first. We do have everyone on mute mode, which means that we are not going to be disturbed by people coming and going and by your office noises. So hopefully you can listen attentively, and this will be helpful for you to have no background noise in the presentation. Secondly, we are recording this presentation. All of our presentations that we do for Core Cubed are available on our website, corecubed.com/events. And we do a marketing webinar or an industry-related webinar once a month, and we have wonderful archived webinars. So if you want to listen to this one or share this one with anyone in your office or any of your colleagues, please just direct them to our website, and they should easily be able to watch this. We do not send out these PowerPoint presentations in email, so we're encouraging you to come back and watch. My name is Marilyns Orsini, and you can see here some information about me. I've certainly been involved in direct services to home care and in marketing and consulting in the home care industry for a long time, now since 1981. So it just gets more and more exciting as it changes and as I learn more things, which I do continue to learn all the time. I am joined also by Leanne Hoyer, who is one of our very valued staff members here at Core Cubed, and she has been working with us since 2010, and prior to that she was an editor and a writer, so it is her passion to write. And Leanne, aren't you lucky that now writing is something that really has sort of taken over on the internet?
Absolutely. I have job security.
That's right. You definitely do. That is really good. Our objectives today really are to talk about a blog, and we get lots of questions. You know, why should I blog? What is a blog? You know, why should I spend my time on it? So we're going to talk today about how a blog does really add to your rankings in search engine marketing strategy. And hopefully at the end of the webinar you will understand why you should be having a blog, writing a blog, or commissioning someone to write blogs for you. We're also going to talk about making the blog have the biggest impact you can possibly have in your inbound marketing efforts. So if you're spending time researching and writing the blog, then taking it out and showing you how you can actually use it to enhance your rankings. And then we'll take you through the life of a blog post. Now, I can't get inside Leanne's mind from concept, but we can at least show you the process and how it works for us at Core Cubed. So the first thing is blogging. You know, I asked Leanne yesterday when we were talking about this webinar if she had read the Clue Train Manifesto. It's a book that came out about 12 years ago, and it really was when blogging first started. When blogging first started, it really was an online journal, and the idea behind that was creating interactive dialogue and really direct dialogue from the business to the customers. And it started off in big companies. Microsoft was the one that did actually introduced it, and in a way to talk to their customers and share experience. And you know, it's hard for us to think today about historically how short a time it has been that we've actually had the internet and the capabilities of interactivity that we currently have. And it used to be, you know, marketing and selling products was really a closed system, and there wasn't a way inside the business. And so the blog, the web log in its traditional sense, that's really what it started out to be. It has definitely changed in terms of its purpose and its usage, and it really today is more of an online repository, just information about the business, things that are happening in the business that are of noteworthy or that need more explanation, or that someone who's in the industry might find of interest. So the blog is really more of a living, breathing entity today if it's really used the way it's supposed to be used. So what you should really be doing is looking at ways to project your thoughts about the industry, to publish information about the industry, to share things, to share including images. So anything that relates to the industry that is shareable is really the appropriate place to do that is on a blog, on your agency website blog. The other thing that's happened in the blogosphere is that a blog on a website has really become a very important component to search engine marketing, and we'll talk about that more in just a minute. And I did throw in this guest blogging because one of the things that happens in inbound marketing or online marketing is that something works and a site starts to be ranked, and then a lot of the consultants who work in this industry decide that since it works that they're going to do a lot of it. So guest blogging is something that used to be preferred and recommended, but it became overused, and because it became overused, people were actually guest blogging just to get the backlinks to the site, and Google doesn't like that anymore. So I just caution you about guest blogging because, and this is really just one way to say, which is sort of what we will say in part throughout this presentation, search engine marketing is changing, and it is changing rapidly, and the blog is certainly an important component of it. But like everything else with Google, you really do have to be careful that you are legitimately working towards relevancy in your website information and everything you share. So I just want to throw that caution in. So we get this question all the time. Why should I spend my time and money blogging? Well, the real reason has to do with search engine rankings. There's a secondary reason because through blogging and writing and communicating, then you do become an expert or perceived as an expert in your industry. And we'll talk about that in a minute as well. But let's go back to search engine marketing. We really are marketing to Google, although Bing is now gaining market share. Google does not have the nailed-down market on search results as they used to. Bing is certainly making good headways, but we're still really doing things based on the algorithms that Google puts together that Google says this is how we're going to rank your site. And Google really likes it when your site is current. Recency is one of the very high ranking factors. So if you have a website that you designed 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 2 years ago and you haven't changed anything, Google's not going to like that as much as if you have some way to change. And a blog is a great way to change your website often. Google also likes it when you socialize, and the idea is that the more you share and the more people are coming to you and sharing your information, then Google likes that a lot. And that falls along the lines with seeing natural relationships built, which is really why Google is penalizing people for building what Google sees as unnatural relationships. So if Google sees a trend towards something that actually looks like you are trying to make something happen really hard, like guest blogging on a lot of different blogs that have absolutely no relationship to your business, Google is not going to like that, and they actually will penalize people for the unnatural relationships. The other thing is relevancy. You're going to have a lot of information on your website about your services and who you are, but there's so much information that people need to know when they're searching for a home care agency that it's a perfect place to add relevant information, and the blog is a great place to do that. And Google also likes it when your website, this recent and relevant information, is linking out to other sites and blogs, quoting other people in the industry, showcasing statistics, sharing articles. So Google really likes that when you link out, and it also likes it when people link back to you. So if you are writing a blog that is of interest, and Leanne will talk about this a little later. If you're writing things that are interesting and you're posting them in a variety of places, then people are going to read it, like it, share it, and you're going to get some links back to your blog and back to your website. So it sounds a little complicated, but it really isn't, and we will clarify it and to make it easy for you very shortly. The other question I get often is, will I get more clients through blogging? Well, marketing strategy, marketing tactics, you're not just one thing. So if you started blogging 8 hours a day, would you get more clients from that? I would say probably not, because you're not doing anything else. But it's one component of an overall inbound marketing strategy. And that inbound marketing strategy, which is becoming so much more important now in terms of people searching for home care and going to the internet to find the services they're looking for, inbound marketing strategy is really based on people looking for services finding you. So these blog posts, if you are blogging and you're doing them correctly, they will assist in increasing the rankings of your site on search engines. They also will occasionally come up. I mean, everybody searches, I think, on Google, and note lately what's coming up. I mean, there's more social media postings, there's more blog postings, so Google is now really ranking. So if someone, for instance, is looking for home care in Louisville, Kentucky, specific to dementia care, and that's what they're looking for, if you have a blog on your home care agency website and you happen to be in Louisville, Kentucky, and it happens to be on dementia care, then it is just possible that they're going to hit that because you've just written it and it's recent and it's important, and it's just possible that that's going to come up on search engine rankings. So will you get more clients through blogging? If it's done correctly and if it's a component of your marketing strategy, people will be able to find you easier. So, Leanne, do you want to talk about what it is you need to blog, since you are our resident wonderful blogger?
Sure. I think the most important thing you need when you're starting a blog is you need to be able to set a blog up on your website. So you need to have a website, and it needs to be running a content management system. We use WordPress for the majority of our clients, and blogging works on other content management systems, but WordPress, we found, is one of the most user-friendly, really, just to put it in one word, easiest content management systems to learn and to use, and it makes adding a blog and updating a blog so easy. So you need a website. You need something to say, and I think what Marilyns just touched on is that there is nothing but a wealth of information within the home care industry, so you shouldn't have any trouble coming up with something to say on your blog, whether it's about the caregiving process, whether it's about caring for specific chronic diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia, whether it is about a fundraiser that your agency is sponsoring. I mean, you want to certainly position yourself as an expert within your industry, an expert caregiver, but you also, it's also important to say things like, we are a part of our local community. Here is how we help our local seniors, and things like that. So having something to say should be one of the easiest things about your blogging process. But you also need a little time to learn how to use your blog, how to post and how to share your blog. And like I said, with WordPress, it makes it so much easier because the blogging platform is just so intuitive. But that's something that we at CoreCube can teach. That's something that we do all the time. So just taking a little time out to learn best practices of using your blog is important. A basic knowledge of social media is an absolute necessity because, like we said, we touched on previously, just putting your blog out there and posting it on your website is not enough. You want to share it in as many places as possible across Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google Plus being a huge one because Google really prioritizes their own social media site. And even Pinterest, we get a lot of results from Pinterest. So that's why you want to include some really nice graphics in there, which we'll talk about later. So a basic knowledge of social media is key in order to get your blog out there in the world and get it seen by more eyes. And a basic working knowledge of search engine optimization, strategy, and tactics. And we have an SEO webinar coming up in June, on June 11th, which we will go into even more depth on SEO, so don't miss that. But having a basic knowledge of SEO strategy when you're writing a blog, including search engine optimized keywords and that internal and external linking that Marilyns was just talking about, is vital when you're putting these blogs out there, and Google is going to crawl your blogs and rank them appropriately because you're working that SEO. So what do you say in your blog? Content is king. That is a huge key phrase now in marketing, and it's why having blogs and the writing component of marketing is exploding right now, because Google is really prioritizing your content. So your blog is a great place to display your knowledge, your skills, and your passion. So there's just a ton of things that you can talk about within home care, aging care, related topics, and it's a great place to just showcase we are the expert in our field. Here's some information we think that you'll find relevant. Share this information. And that leads into the next one, providing shareable content. That's relevant content that your target audience, and when we're talking about home care, I think primarily we're talking about adult children, family caregivers who are finding the care necessities that they need for their loved ones. So you're reaching out to them, you're saying, here are, the top 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's disease. These things that they're concerned about, that they're worried about in their loved one, and they're going to say, oh, wow, that is really great information. I need to share that with my family. I need to share that with my, my neighbor who's dealing with that with her own mother. So it's shareable content that's relevant to your target audience. You're establishing your agencies as an expert, and you're establishing yourself as a thought leader within the industry. You're not just sharing these tips and tricks about caring for a loved one, but you're saying, listen, this is how, this is why we are the best at what we do, because we are want to share this information with you, and we know because we've been in this business for X number of years, and our caregivers are the best. So you're really just establishing yourself through this relevant content, this updated content, as a thought leader.
Leanne, I'm going to let you continue to talk about writing the blog post.
Sure. So creating topics for your blog post, again, like I said, there's a wealth of information out there. Your area of expertise, I think most of you are in home care, and so there's just a ton to talk about within the home care industry about caregiving. So you want to discuss your ideas, your thoughts, dreams, wishes related to that subject matter. You want to talk about what's going on in your industry. In the home care industry, there's news, there's new regulations every day. So you need to talk about that with your audience as well. Talk about how your agency goes about the care process, and just anything that is going to be relevant to your target audience. You want to include those resources that I was talking about that are going to be relevant, links to other sites, videos, infographics, which are, if you haven't seen an infographic, I'm sure most of you have seen infographics before, but they're these beautifully put together graphic representations of statistics. There's a lot of them if you just search home care infographics out there that really put a visual to a lot of important information. So sharing those, creating your own infographics are great things to include in your blog. You can also include any news that's going on within your own agency, including press releases, any product announcements, any new services you're offering. If you're starting to offer training to family caregivers, if you're starting to offer a more concierge-based service to clients, that's blog-worthy. You want to talk about that. It's relevant to your audience. And just anything in good taste that extends your brand. You know, talk about the issues that are going on within your industry. Don't get political about them, but talk about them and how they affect how you care for your clients. Solve problems. That's a huge thing in the blog world. You know, blogging about not only the warning signs about Alzheimer's, but how can you solve the problem of a family caregiver who has to work but has, you know, a loved one with Alzheimer's that they don't feel comfortable leaving for, you know, the whole day. So talk about how you solve problems and share heartwarming stories. Everyone loves a good heartwarming story. I'm sure you've got, you know, working with years in the industry, working with clients, there's a heartwarming story that you can share, and those get, you know, just a ton of shares across social media. So heartwarming stories are great.
And to follow up on that, the design component that accompanies all of the things you're going to blog about is incredibly important. You know, there's a great resource. Google has some advanced image searches that you can do, and you can also, when you're looking for those images, you can make certain that you're using images that are not copyrighted and that are fine to use in the public domain. So there's lots of places to find eye-catching visuals. I will say that traditionally are still the puppies, kittens, babies. Those are fabulous things that attract attention, so not that you want to always have puppies and kittens and babies on things, but that will definitely draw attention. If you can marry the design component, whatever you've chosen as a design component, with what the topic of the blog is about, then you will also, that's sort of a double bonus. You really do need to make certain that you do have a visual, and don't just use your agency logo or canned photos with these blog posts. Try to find some unusual things. You know, you can take photos of your clients if you don't show their face. So I mean, you can have a hand of a client. For instance, if you were writing a blog post about communicating, like maybe point of care technology, where you're now communicating with an iPad back to the scheduling department or on your scheduling software, you could take a picture of that, and just your hand on the iPad and the client's hand on the iPad, maybe with, you know, in a setting that looks like a client's home setting. So you're not violating the client health information at all, or the client, but it might be an interesting picture. So you really do need to also, when you're blogging, make certain that you're not just putting a block of text up, that you are actually putting bullets, and we talked a little bit about linking, but you also need to place your icons to encourage people to share, because if it's easy for them to retweet your blog or to like your blog or to post it on Google Plus or to repin it, then you're going to have people do that more often, and that is one of the things that you really should be trying to do. But the whole design component needs to be visually pleasing. And if you don't know what I mean by visually pleasing, ask somebody to look at the blog and make certain that it really does look good. And it also needs to look good. The other thing, when it's posted, the visual that you've included in the blog post, and I believe that's a setting in WordPress, Leanne, that allows you to post what's on the page, so it picks up the visual on your blog page and carries that with it when it goes to the social media. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Good. Fabulous. Well, you're the queen of shareable content, so why don't you talk about that?
All right. So what we mean when we talk about shareable content, it first has to be quality content. It has to be well written. You know, for a while there, Google was okay with people stuffing in these keywords just to, I mean, I don't know that they were okay with it, but they just looked the other way for a long time with people stuffing in keywords. So it really made the website and the blog read very oddly. And we can't do that anymore. It's frowned upon. You will get penalized if your every other word is home care, Alzheimer's, home care, Alzheimer's. So you don't want to, you want it to be quality. It's got to be written for a human audience, not just for Google. And it has to be, you know, relevant. Obviously, we've talked about it can be humorous. It can, if it conveys some sort of an emotion, if it makes people cry, that gets shared all the time. Anything that can make you cry is something that people like to share for some reason. But an emotion, it has, if it has an emotional impact on you, you're more likely to share about it. And I encourage you to think about what you share when you're out there on Facebook. What do you see in, you know, in a post on Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest or in somebody else's blog that makes you think, wow, somebody else needs to see this. So think about that when you're creating your own content, and you know, what kind of emotional impact it has on you, or if it just makes you think about a topic in a different way that you think that other people need to think about. So that's what we talk when we're talking about shareable content. We're talking about those things. And don't be afraid to encourage people to like and share your blog posts as well. You know, once you're posting them on Facebook, you know, it's okay to say things like, you know, your clients need to see this, or you know, does your mother need to read this, or, you know, anything like that. Encourage people to share that information. It's, you know, it's okay to sort of push that a little bit. And like Marilee said, make sharing your blog easy. We'll show you a kind of layout of a blog post later on in the webinar where you've got those social sharing buttons at the top, and we also have them at the bottom of our blog to make that easy. Once you're done reading, you can just click the like button and you like it on Facebook immediately. So making that easy makes people more apt to share it. An eye-catching image is vital. I talk about Pinterest a little bit because Pinterest is a big place for sharing home care content. If you go on Pinterest and you search some home care keywords, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's videos, there's articles, there's a lot of sharing going on, and Pinterest is a big visual sharing site. It's a visual bookmarking site, so you have to have a graphic on your blog in order to be on, you know, to get it on Pinterest at all. So, and every social media site now is more visual. So you need it for Facebook. Even Twitter has become a lot more visual lately. So being able to share that blog and getting it noticed, you need an eye-catching image. What you want to avoid when writing a blog post, particularly for your business, is anything political, anything that touches on religion, and any, you know, off-color innuendos, anything negative. You don't want that. This is not your soapbox for sharing your, you know, political or religious ideas. It's for, you know, sharing content with your target audience, your client base, who may come from a variety of different religious and political backgrounds. So you don't want to offend. This is a place for, you know, just content that does have emotion, that is relevant to your target audience, and, you know, not offensive content. So be aware of that.
And when you're writing your blog, you want to have some knowledge of search engine optimization. And as Leanne said, you really don't want to overuse keywords, because the text really ought to be targeted to the human reader. You don't want to just stuff it with keywords. But you do want to use keywords in your blog writing. You also would need to think about what words you're going to use to link. And one of the tricks is that instead of saying click here for more information, say visit our website for more information on dementia care. So you're actually using a keyword that would be relevant to your business and you're linking back to it. So anytime you're going to link, you really need to make certain that the words you're using are words that people are using to search for your site. And it doesn't always need to be home care. It can be other things related to home care. So it can be disease specific. It could be resource specific. So you really do need to think, though, when you're linking. There are programs that WordPress uses, widgets I guess they're called, for different things, and there are SEO widgets that you can use. Are they plugins or widgets, Leanne?
Plugins.
Plugins.
Yeah, plugins for SEO. Mm-hmm.
For SEO, and that plugin will actually help you with your search engine optimization when you're writing. It will make you look at your titles. It will make you create a description. It will also ask you for what keywords you're targeting. So you can actually tag other keywords in addition to what you're actually putting in the body of the blog. You also need to, and again, WordPress will make you do this, when you add a video or an image to your blog post, you have several boxes to fill out. You are going to name the picture. So, I mean, when you upload it from your computer, it might say photo 0129. Well, you will rename that to be whatever the blog post is about. I mean, I did a blog post yesterday about a telehealth product that deals with diabetic retinopathy, and so I used diabetic retinopathy several times during the blog post, and also on the image that I uploaded to accompany that blog post. So you have that opportunity. I think there's 4 boxes. The plugin that we use on our WordPress sites have several options to put in there to describe the photos or the videos that you're putting up. So it's going to make you use meta tags and a title and description. I guess you could leave it blank if you wanted to, but you're going to get a whole lot more ranking or Google importance. Google will find it much more important if you are actually thinking about that SEO when you're writing it. The other thing is that you can link back to other pages or blog posts on your website. So if you wrote a blog post, for instance, about dementia, and then now you're writing about how, how do you speak to someone who's combative, or how do you deal with a combative client that has dementia, then you can link back to any of the blog posts that you already put up that dealt with that subject. So you can link either to other pages on your website, or you can link to other blog posts. So you can really make use of extending the information that you've put up there by referring people back to it. So, and all of these things are important for SEO. And again, as Leanne mentioned, we're doing a webinar specifically on search engine optimization June the 11th. So you can join us then and learn more about that. Leanne, you want to talk about Google Authorship?
Of course. So Google Authorship is a relatively new feature that Google has put out that allows you to link your Google Plus account to your blog. And what that does is it gives your, when people are searching and they come across your blog in a search, it puts an author photo and a bio attached to that blog. So you may have seen that already in a Google search. You'll see a title of a blog post, and then you'll see a picture of someone, and it says by that person. So that's what that is. That's Google Authorship. There's an example of it right there, one of our clients. So you can see that title, and it links directly to the blog, and that's by Rick. So that's what it looks like when you've got Google Authorship attached to your blog. Now, sometimes that takes a while so if you've attached it and you're wondering why isn't my author photo up there, Google sometimes takes a while to get that going. But that's what it will look like once it's fully incorporated. And what that does is having authorship attached to your blog is it increases your ownership of the content. It's saying, here is who's authoring these blogs. This is our, care manager who is, knows her stuff. She authors these blogs. Even if it's, actually written by somebody else, it really increases, your ownership of the content. And by linking your Google Plus profile to your content, it increases your authorship ranking within Google. Like I said, I touched on earlier, Google really prioritizes Google Plus above Facebook, above Twitter. It's its own, of course, it's its own social media site, so it's going to prioritize the content that is shared there. So having Google Plus, having Google Authorship is important in terms of helping your blogs rank. It connects it to a specific Google Plus account, and like I said, it prioritizes that when you're in relation to SEO. So when people are searching, say if I was looking for a cloud-based home care software, this account is a Google Authorship account. It has cloud-based home care software in there several times, so we're working the keywords there, and you can see who wrote it. There's Rick right there, and we can. It'll also allows you to link back to his Google Plus account and see his bio and things like that, as well as linking to the blog itself. So it's a really important step to take nowadays when you're creating your blog, and having a Google Plus account is one of the top social media accounts that you need to have. So very important. So we're going to get into what happens after the blog post. So I was just talking about Google Plus. So what do you do now that your blog is out there? You want to share it. You want to tell people about it. Spread it across every social media account that you have. Tweet it, post it to Facebook, post it to LinkedIn, post it to Google Plus especially, and pin it, have that image in there so that you can pin it to your Pinterest account, because things get shared on Pinterest like wildfire. I don't want to put too fine a point on it, but Pinterest is pretty big for home care, but as well as Facebook and LinkedIn is great for business, and Google Plus as well. So you want to share it in as many places as you possibly can. We also connect our blogs to our email campaigns, and we encourage our clients to do that as well. We send out a monthly newsletter, and we'll show you in a minute what all of these things look like when they're shared across social media and across email campaigns. So put a teaser in your e-newsletter and link to it. Use a component, use your blog as a component of an e-blast. What we do when we send out our e-newsletter is just put a little section in there about what's going on the Core Cube blog, and have a couple of our most recent blog posts in there, so that we're connecting you not only to our newsletter information, but connecting you to even more relevant information about marketing and home care. So we encourage our clients to do the same thing and just use that blog in as many ways as you possibly can.
And using that blog in as many ways as you possibly can should bring you some success, but you really ought to be measuring and tracking for success. Most people don't realize that Google Analytics is free. And you really should have Google Analytics attached to your website, because it gives a wealth of information, and it's not that hard to use, but you have to actually have it connected to your website first. So it's just some simple code that gets put on your website, but what you will get in results is amazing, because you can look at all kinds of things. Anything that you would like to find out almost about your website, you're not going to get a direct link of, contact the person that's actually there unless they fill out a contact form, but you're going to get a good idea of who your visitors are, when they're looking at your website, where are they coming from before they get there, are there any places linked back to your website, the traffic flow? I mean, it's pretty amazing. So if you have Google Analytics, then you really can start doing an analysis of what's happening on that website. But specifically, you can get measurements about your blog. So when you publish a blog, you will see if people are paying attention to it or looking at it or referring to it or linking to it or sharing it. So you just have to note the date you publish the blog post, and then you can go back and look at those Google stats and see, is it generating any interest out there? So you can also look and see, because if you've posted it across social media, as Leeanne will show you in a minute, then you can see, is that working? You can also tell when you send an email campaign out and you've got that blog post linked, are people checking that. So you can really get a lot of very good information by looking at Google Analytics. And that can help you make decisions about what type of content you should put up, what visual you should use, and when is the best time to publish your blog, and where are the best places to share it. So if you really will look at the stats and then interpreting the results, you can find out what should you do more of. And that's why when Leeanne talks about Pinterest, it's pretty amazing. I think it started using Pinterest a couple of years ago for our clients. Leeanne, has it been? And we were astounded with, actually for ourselves too. I remember the first one we opened up our Pinterest account, we went, wow, that's amazing. But I think if you look at the people that are actually using Pinterest, it really is the psychodemographic that would be people who would be caregivers looking for home care solutions too. So it really is a sort of a natural target for home care, but you can tell what social media outlets are working and which are not. And, you know, the hard thing to do would be to pick one over the other. We've talked before about a tool that we use called Hootsuite, Hootsuite. And Hootsuite does allow you to post through multiple social media outlets. So you really only have to think through it once and set up a system that then will actually make those posts. So, but you can tell then really and find out what you want to know is where are you getting your traffic, and you want to know when somebody reads that blog post, what do they do after that? Does that make them come to your website and check out more about your services or read some more blog posts? And you want to know, is it generating enough interest that people are going to actually come to your website and hang around? I mean, if you've been posting blogs for a while, then it is not unusual for someone who's searching for home care to find you and to come to your website and to look around and explore different things. So and you might also try some conversions to see, are people, if you have an inquiry form or if you have asked, calls for information, or then you look and see too, are your blog posts at all helping you with conversions? And then you do want to take actions based on results. And look and see, you have to try different things. Is your design poor? Do you need to change that so that you have better design? Do you need better call to action? Are you asking them to take a specific action, and then if they're not doing that, perhaps you need to change the action? We have tools that we look at this stuff so we know on a website what's working and what's not working, or on a blog what's working and what's not working, and where people are going. So but you can make these changes and see if it makes any difference in your results. And do you need to expand your social media presence? Leeanne talked about Google+. I find Google+, I hope there's no one from Google listening to this, or it can, but I find it a difficult platform. I much prefer if I'm going to be on social media, to be on Facebook, but Google Plus is really important. And I do also periodically get interested in Pinterest. I get so interested in Pinterest that I sort of lose track of time, so I have to be careful there. But really, looking at where should you expand your social media, where should you put your time, and results will tell you that. You might also try landing pages that are tied to call to action. So if you have a specific program or a service or an area of service that you're going into that you've not done before, then you can try a landing page tied to a call to action, and that's a really easy way to measure results. How many people are actually landing there, and more importantly, after they land, how many people are filling out the contact information and asking you to get back in touch with them. Or you can't track the ones that call you on the phone that come from the home page, but you can ask them that question when they do call. And really what you're, when you say take action based on results, what you're really doing is really trying to see what works. And there's a fabulous tool on Facebook called Insights page, which is on the business pages. So I think you have to have 30 likes for the Insights page to kick in. But once you put your business Facebook up and you get past that 30, then you can really do a wonderful analysis of what are people looking at, what are people clicking through on, what are people sharing, how much engagement did you get. So there really is a great insights page that you can use for guidance, and you can look at your blog post that you've posted on Facebook, and it's a great way to find out what's working and what's not working. Now, Leanne, I'm going to let you take us through the life of a blog post, since this is one of the lives that you lead.
Sure. I just want to touch one thing on that Facebook Insights. You can even see when the people that have liked your page are online the most, and that gives you a better, or on Facebook the most, and that gives you kind of a better idea of when you should be posting, because you get a big spike at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That means more eyes are on Facebook at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and your post should maybe be going out at that time. So there's a lot of information on Facebook Insights to help you. So the life of a blog post. So this kind of gives you this is one of our sample blog posts. It gives you kind of an idea of a layout. This isn't the only layout, obviously, that your blog can take, but up at the top there, you'll see a little like button and a tweet button. Those are your social sharing buttons. We've touched on that about making your blogs easily shareable. So if I'm reading this blog and I like what I'm reading, I can click that like button and it likes it on Facebook, on my Facebook page for me. I can also tweet about it by clicking the tweet button. And we also have more of those at the bottom of each post where you can pin it. You can +1 it on Google+, and so we're just trying to make sharing the blog post as easy as possible for whoever lands on the page. The categories, these are categories that this blog post falls under. We've got aging care because we're talking about home care sales. Obviously we've got sales and marketing categories. So these are really important within to help you kind of categorize your blog. So when somebody lands on your blog page and you've got hundreds of blogs like we do, you can click on one of those categories. If they just want to read about sales, about home care sales, they can click on the sales category and they can pull up all the information we have about sales. So those categories are important, and you need to think about when you're creating those categories for your blogs, not just throwing keywords in there, but thinking about how your blogs, what your blog topics are, and what people might want to know when they're coming, what kind of categories they might be interested in when they're coming and looking at these blogs. Obviously, you want to have that big eye-catching, oops.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Whoops.
Getting ahead of ourselves.
I can't, I'm trying to go backwards. It isn't working. Let's see if I can, we're way ahead of ourselves. I apologize. My trigger finger is really,
in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you want to have that an eye-catching graphic that sort of draws the reader in. And here we've got at the bottom of that eye-catching graphic, that's our first paragraph of the blog. And so you can see that's an internal link where I'm linking to another blog post that is about sales. So that's an important component of blogging that we've just talked about recently. So that's what a blog post looks like. Here's what a Twitter announcement looks like. So often you can set up your blog, especially in WordPress, to post those blogs to Twitter and Facebook and other social media sites automatically, or you can use Hootsuite to do that as well. So, so we posted it on Twitter here. Here we posted it on Google Plus as well. And that +1 down there is kind of like the like button for Google Plus. Yeah, there's a +1 button at the bottom. That's just the Google Plus version of liking. And those are important as well. And this is Facebook. And Pinterest. And as you can see here on Pinterest, it pulls in mostly what you're going to see is that image. And then you can also incorporate you know, your blog title and some hashtags in there that help help people find marketing information. For instance, I've got hashtag marketing. If somebody was just in Pinterest and they searched marketing, that just sort of helps this blog post be incorporated into that search. And as you can see on that side, on the right side next to our pin, we've got a whole category where we pinned our blogs. So it's just a great place if you're blogging and using those really interesting graphics to you want to put it on Pinterest, because like Marilyns said, people spend hours on Pinterest because they just kind of get sucked in. So it's easy to come across a variety of information while you're on Pinterest. So it's a good place to put some information out there. And I talked about us using our blogs within our e-newsletters. So I include a little section of what's new on the CoreCube blog within each newsletter. So we've got our home care sales blog in there, and it links right back to the blog post, and we've also got an SEO blog in there as well. And this is just a piece, a very small piece of the information from Facebook Insights that you can look at. Your post reach, I've got it set to, I believe, the entire month. I think it was February or January when that blog was posted. So I've got it set to where we can sort of track not just the blog, but sort of what kind of reach we had on Facebook that month. And I want to say the blog was posted around the 20th, so you can see those spikes kind of going up in there, and you can sort of drill down within Facebook and see even more detailed information. And this the second one shows our likes, comments, and shares, and spikes around the time that the blog was shared as well. So just a great place to look for information in Facebook sites to see how you're doing on Facebook in particular. And this is some even more detailed information about this particular home care sales blog as a landing page. So you see the spikes in February when it was posted, or was it Jan? I can't remember now. It was it was in this timeline. So we kind of track the spikes of when people are looking at the blog, and you can see it spikes several times over the next couple of months as well. So you're not just sharing it one time. I think that's an important thing to mention as well. You're not just putting it out there and sharing it the day that you put it out there. You want to incorporate it like we did in our newsletter that went out later, and just keep coming back to it, because your blog posts are relevant, and they're not just, you know, one day specific. So share them, you know, across the months, especially if you're creating a social media campaign and you're strapped for information. Go back to your blogs and share those again and get more traffic to your website that way.
And I want to mention too, if you look at the bottom, you see pages visited in time on the site. People, when they come to the site on the blog, they're visiting other pages, and they're also spending time. So 4 minutes on a site is a pretty good amount of time. It means somebody is reading, looking around. So the blog posts really do help with that. One of our mantras here is measure, adapt, and measure again, and we've talked about that a little bit, but I'm going to end our presentation today with that because you really do have to know, this goes back to our focus on strategy, what are you really trying to accomplish? Now, obviously you're trying to grow your business, but with with all of your marketing efforts, what are you trying to accomplish? And specifically with the blog, you can define goals about the blog. And you might focus your content in one specific area, or you might try other things, or you might have goals to try to convert inquiries into assessments. So whatever your goals are, you need to set those goals and then try to measure against those. And then you can only do that by tracking your metrics that you get from Google Analytics or from the social media accounts. And then basically you just adapt and change things and move forward. You know, technology changes so rapidly, and the search engine optimization and search engine marketing changes rapidly. So there is no static in this industry right now. You really do have to adapt and adjust, and the only way you can do that is by measuring. And then, that's trying out new things and then trying to improve old ones, or not doing the old things if they're not working. I think that's the hardest thing for people to do, is to give up things they've done for a long time that they're uncomfortable giving up because they don't know what's going to happen if I don't do this. And but you really do have to try those things. You can always go back to trying something old if you don't like what you tried new and it didn't work. So we challenge you today to think about what you've learned today and find out how you can implement that knowledge, and find out, is there someone in your agency that you can assign to implement it and to also measure. And if you don't have anyone in your agency that you can assign to implement and measure, that is one of the reasons that we're in business, is we do market home care businesses. So we would love to talk to you about how we could help you with your blogging, or with measuring for success, or with putting a blog on your website, or signing you up and starting you on all the various social media. So we have lots of expertise in that, and we would love to help you. We do not have any questions at this point, but this does conclude the webinar for today. And so if you have questions, I encourage you please to write them on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you have any questions, then we will be glad to answer them. And if you don't have questions, here we have a question. Besides Google and search engines, who's the audience we are directing to? Well, that's an interesting question. You are trying to find people who are interested in home care services, whether that is an adult child who is looking for home care services, or whether it is a referral source looking for resources in the community to refer to. So what you're really trying to do is get people interested in purchasing home care services, or reading more about home care services, or calling you so that they can purchase home care services.
Right, and I think just to add to that, I think the most important thing you want to do when you're writing a blog, you want to write to those people first. You want to write to the people who are going to be looking for your services first, and not, say, oh, Google won't like to see this, or Google won't, write to your audience first. And of course include your keywords that'll help you get found. But, target your blogs to your audience, to the daughter of, who's caring for an ailing mother and needs help. That's your audience, or one of your potential clients. So directing that information first to the audience is the most important thing, I think.
Very, very good point. Well, we have no further questions, and we are at the end of our allotted time for this. I'd like to personally thank each of you for attending today, and encourage you to share our webinars, I say, on our corecubed.com/events. And we thank you so much for your time today, and we hope to see you at future Core Cubed events. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your week. And Leanne, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure presenting with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.